This is our 2025 best office chair tier list, and in this one we're focusing on more than just comfort, also factoring in things like value, build quality, return policy, warranty, kicking it off here with the Haworth Fern. Robert, what do you think?
We've been really high on the Fern for a long time. Personally, I love that digital knit fabric. Gives you just that extra little bit of cushion. You can actually notice that. Has a lot of flexibility in the backrest. Coming from a brand like Haworth, you're getting really good policies, a good return policy, good warranty. So I'm going to be at a really high A for this.
Ryan, what do you think about the build quality on this? Because that's actually one of the things that people have kind of been complaining about as of late, is that they're a little bit disappointed on some of the build quality. I think it comes down to some loose parts. I've noticed it on our chairs too, but I mean, overall, I think the chair is fairly well built. I mean, it's all nice components. I would say that for me personally, I give this a solid A all around. They've got good return policy, good warranties. Build is solid for what you're going to get, and it is a super comfortable chair. Unlike Ryan, though, I love the lumbar support. So if you want some really dialed-in lumbar support, get the extra lower lumbar, and definitely skip the headrest because that thing is not that comfortable.
Yeah, I tend to agree. I think the build quality, I'd consider the build like A minus in terms of the whole industry. I don't think it's quite up there with like a Herman Miller or a Steelcase, mainly just due to quality control issues out of the factory. I think if you get one that's perfectly put together and all the screws are tight, then it's competitive to the other two brands. The problem is we don't see that type of consistency. But from a quality, overall, adjustability, comfort, for me, this is an S tier chair. Now, I need the digital knit, no headrest, and no lumbar in order to achieve that S tier rating. But for me, it checks all the boxes. I love the seat. I love the arms. The backrest is absolutely incredible. Really good flexibility, and you're getting great policies because it's Haworth. So for me, this is S tier.
All right, Greg, let's roll out that Ergohuman Gen 2 model. This is the one, I think this is the combination you like the best, correct?
Yeah, this would be my favorite combination for sure. We got the leather seat with the mesh backrest. This is, I think, overall going to be the most comfortable for sure. As far as build quality is concerned, I think all these chairs are fairly similar. The Generation 2 made some really nice improvements on things that I think were important. Number one, the seat became more comfortable. They flattened it out quite a bit. And actually, they made the lumbar support so someone like Ryan could actually enjoy it a little bit more because it was super pronounced previous. Now you can actually kind of dial it back a little bit. And these arm pads are absolutely insane. This is about as close as you're going to get to an Aeron arm pad. Widely adjustable too, so they're going to fit you. But I'd say the only downside for this chair is if you're short. The seat just doesn't get low enough for shorter users. So if you're like under 5'6", you probably need a footrest. I'm going to go easy A on this one.
I love that mesh backrest. The headrest is also really nice on this. You can adjust it. It stays where you want it to be, which is great. And Greg touched on this. The arm pads are amazing. That's a big upgrade from the previous version. Even if I had a mesh seat, mesh backrest, I'd be probably like an A- with the Ergohuman Gen 2 here. Put it in this combination, I'm at a solid A.
I do think it's a very well-made chair. Eurotech has some great policies, really good consistency in the industry, so you're buying from a great company. I just don't fit in it super well because the arms just don't go quite narrow enough for me, and I do wish that it had a little bit more flexibility, but from a value standpoint, I do think that you're getting very good value at the price that you're paying. It's about half the price of an Aeron, and to me, it's more comfortable. So I'm going to be at a solid B+ on this one.
If you want to see how we rank all these chairs for purely comfort, click the link in the description to get our guide. So the Colamy, or Colamy as Ryan likes to call it, the Atlas chair, this is another chair we pick all the time, and it actually gets a little boost for me when we look at the overall tier list, and that's because you have to consider in that price. So we're looking at maybe $320 is a typical price you might see this chair for. So it has that comfort that feels like it is maybe a $400 or $500 chair. The seat is nice. You can see Greg pushing into that backrest. It really kind of cradles your back, and you kind of sink into it just the right amount. Definitely does have some problems. The build quality is not there and everything. So that's why we can't go super high. Personally, I'm going to put that right at a solid B.
Yeah, it's crazy because this chair seems to just kind of hold its price. I actually looked today on Amazon. They had a sale going for like $230. So if you watch the sales that are on Amazon, that's where you're going to find your best value with this particular product, because on their own website, it was pretty consistent around like $350. $230 is unbelievable. I really don't think there's anything else out there. Is it perfect? No. Obviously, there's going to be some issues. I know some people say the lumbar is a little bit jabby and they don't necessarily love the arm pads. Maybe they move around a little bit too much. Honestly, this is an easy B+ for me.
I'm actually going to go a little bit higher than that. We rarely get to factor in value when we do these tier lists. Usually it's on comfort or something very specific. This chair, in my opinion, gives you the best value in the entire market. It compares favorably to $500 chairs, in my opinion, when it comes to build quality. You're going to get every adjustment possible, and you're also going to get nice sleek adjustments like Greg just showed there with the seat depth adjustment, things like that. And you do get the headrest, which is a big bonus. And so for a $200, $300 chair, it feels more like you're getting a $500 to $600 chair. Just the overall value in the chair, I'm at an A on this one. Another S tier pick for me, this is the Steelcase Leap. This is the chair that I literally sit in everywhere that I go, my office, my home office, the conference room, everywhere that I go that I can sit in the Leap, I sit in the Leap. It checks every box for me. Most comfortable chair I've ever sat in. I don't really need to say more. You get amazing policies, #1 build quality. It's S tier for me.
Yeah, I mean, the fact is that this is along the lines of some of those chairs when it comes to durability that you pull out. You see these being pulled out of buildings that are like 20 years old sometimes, and they're still fully functioning. So I think from the build quality standpoint, definitely one of the best chairs out there for sure. And just where it is from a lumbar standpoint, if you like really aggressive lumbar, you're going to get it with the chair. If you're more, again, like Ryan, and you don't want it, you can pull out the height adjustable lumbar, but you've got the adjustment knob down here for the lower tension of the lumbar to really kind of fine tune it. This chair is great for people that are like 5 foot, 5'1", all the way up to about 6'5". Easy A+ for me. I think if you could get the value from the refurb with the new seat pad that BTOD's got now, I'd probably give this thing an S tier.
Yeah, I'm also super high on this chair. So that backrest, the flexibility is amazing. The flexibility in the seat, the arm pads are really nice. So there's nothing really that I don't like about this entire chair. The only thing that maybe I like better and some of the chairs that I would go with an S is the recline. So it has the more the tilt lock style instead of the kind of recline you get from like an Aeron Embody. So that probably holds it down from being an S for me. But you know, like Greg was saying, if you could get this for a refurb price, then all of a sudden that value is just boosts way up. So it'd probably go S. But I will give the new from Steelcase version an A. So it averages out to a really high A.
We've got the newest chair here from BTOD. It's the BTOD Duolc chair. This is an absolute beast. Seriously, this thing's got pillow top cush for the seat pad. It's got a really like hammocky feel kind of in the backrest. Kind of reminds me of a bigger version of the Vera chair that we have. Just overall, just wider and bigger. So I think it's going to be a good alternative if maybe the Vera wasn't good fit for you, but it's got a really cushy seat on here. Everything else, we've got free returns on it. So we've got the normal warranty too, which is lifetime on parts and then 5-year on upholstery. So I wouldn't say it's gonna maybe wow you from that standpoint, but that's why it's a B. It's above average. So yeah, easy B.
Yeah, I really like the backrest on this chair. Sometimes with mesh chairs, you feel kind of restricted because they're not wide enough, especially if you're taller or have kind of wider shoulders. But you really feel like you can kind of move around in this chair. And again, like the Vera, you sink in just the right amount. So really comfortable backrest. And it does not have the problem that the Vera has with the arms being too high. So I can comfortably put my arms on the armrest and not feel like I'm having my shoulders pushed up. That price is in a good range where a lot of people want to stay right under that $500. So I'm going to go with a solid B.
I think it just presents a very well-rounded chair. It's well made from a good company. You got good backing, good policies. We have very good history with the company that we're working with on this chair. And so you're going to get longevity out of it, very good value for the price that you're paying. And it's going to fit a decent range of people. It's a little bit too wide for me personally, but it does have good adjustments. And a lot of these chairs that you're going to find, especially in the $500 to $700 price range, it's tough to find one with a really actually cush comfortable seat, which you are going to get on this one. So I'm going to be right at a B, just like these guys.
Anthros has come out with a 2.0 version of their chair. I mean, we were already pretty happy with the first version, right? But now with some new changes, the backrest feels a little wider to me, and it has a little bit more of a cradled feeling. I like when I'm kind of cozy in a chair, and it feels like it's giving me a little bit of that hugging sensation. I love that pelvic support, how you can really dial it in. Super unique. I can't really think of any other chair that lets you have these two different adjustment points. Takes a little bit to fine tune it to where it's comfortable. Once you get it right, just feels amazing. So I'm going to give this an A.
Yeah, they definitely made a bunch of really specific changes to this chair. Number one, the seat is actually flatter than it was before, and it has a coccyx cutout in the back. It still has those other cutouts underneath where your sit bones go, so this is one of the most comfortable seats I've ever sat in, to be honest. And they actually made this more of a waterfall front where it was sort of cutting off the circulation of the back of your legs. That's something I didn't like in the previous iteration of the chair. Both of the back pads actually got bigger overall and a little bit thicker, which kind of makes it feel more like a normal chair instead of having the larger gaps, which made this lower support really feel like it was in your back at all times. And I still don't love the arm pads as much on them, but they've got an awesome return policy, 60 days now. They have the 12-year warranty. So I'm easy A on this chair. It's got all the things that you would want.
Yeah, I think Anthros did a very good job of getting to a point where now they can definitely call themselves a strong contender against brands like Herman Miller, Steelcase, Haworth. They have very, very good build quality. All of the components are individually made. You're not going to find these components on any other chair. They're made specifically for the Anthros chair. They're all high-end from a very reputable company. You're not going to get a better return policy. I mean, Herman Miller and Steelcase are at like 14 days now. You get 4 times as long from Anthros and just as good of a warranty. So it's a little warm for me. That'd be my only complaint. And I do wish that the back had a little bit of height adjustment. Sometimes I feel myself slouching in it, and I feel like I could avoid that if I could just lower it a tad. But I still think it's an amazing chair. Kind of just 2 things that I think could push it to S tier, but I'm still going to be at an A. The Gesture has become Steelcase's flagship chair. It is the #1 chair that is ranked on all sorts of lists. The new version that we have with the headrest, in my opinion, it's the best headrest out of all of the high-end chairs, and it's not even close. I don't love the Gesture seat, how it kind of tilts a little bit forward and it's a little bit thin in the back, but I love the rest of the chair. I think the backrest is incredible. The arms are great. It's one of the most well-made chairs on the planet. This is an easy A for me, and if you throw that headrest on there, it's an A+.
Well, you might get some hate from around the world because I know that in their APAC region, they don't necessarily have as great policies. But here in the States, for sure, they're absolutely ridiculous. I'm pretty much like exactly where you are, though, Ryan. I mean, there's a lot that I wish I liked more about this chair. The headrest is incredible. The armrests, of course, are what they are. These things are like nothing else you'll ever use. The only problem for me really comes down to the fact I like more lumbar support. I think some people will still find it to be plenty, but I like a lot of lumbar support, and I can never get used to this seat pad. It's the biggest drawback for me on this chair, and it's the reason why I don't use it. I go B+. I actually give this a bump. I go from B- in comfort with all their policies. And what I think you're getting with the chair, I go to B+.
Yeah, there's so many amazing things about this chair, but then those couple little things that kind of bring it down for me. That seat pan, how it has a little bit of this like down tilt. You kind of feel like you're sliding off the front a little bit. The other thing is I've always found that the armrests feel like my arms are sliding out like off the sides. There's so many other things I absolutely love. Like I do really like the backrest. That headrest is just amazing. The only headrest I maybe like better is if you go third party with a Atlas headrest on an Embody or Aeron or something. I'm going to go A. Again, I'm even higher with that A because of all those policies.
Next up, we've got the OM Yes chair, and this is a chair that, as you can tell, just doesn't really look that exciting out of the gate, but it is really comfortable, especially in your seat pad. I like the build on this chair. It's actually quite good for a chair in this price range. Super comfortable arm pads. They're massive. They're widely adjustable. And that seat pad, while it's thick, it doesn't allow you guys to like sink all the way to the bottom. It kind of gives you like this pushback almost where you're sitting somewhere in between, which is nice. And we've had these chairs in our office now for quite a long time. They hold up super well. The mesh backrest is going to have that ratchet back, so you actually can make some fine adjustments there if you need it. Overall, though, this chair is above average, I would say. It's not great. It's not bad. It's just a little bit above average. I give it a B.
Yeah, it also has a really nice headrest. I think we can show some shots of our other version of the Yes with the headrest. Really comfortable how it slides and has a lot of adjustability. And overall, the Yes has a ton of adjustability with the backrest, armrests. So the only downside with all that adjustability does come more movement than you see in some other chairs. So you have a little bit of that wiggle here and there. That's going to be a B for me.
Yeah, for me, this is an above average chair mainly just because of the value that you're getting. The guys have already touched on the adjustability, the comfort. I agree wholeheartedly on all of that, and as well as the downsides. It's not the best looking chair, and it does have some rattling components sometimes depending on what you go with. But the price range that it's in, between that $400 to $700 price range, there's a massive void in the market right now. We only have at BTOD, 3, 4, 5 chairs that we typically lean towards in that price range, and this is one of them that we are recommending on a daily basis, both in videos as well as when people call. And so the value that you're getting for the price that you're paying, you are definitely getting as much chair as your money's going into. So for me, it's an easily above average chair, so I've got it at a B as well.
So this can be found for about $130. The Ticova ergonomic chair has a lot of adjustments for that price range. I would not expect this chair to last really long, though. That's the problem. The build quality is not going to be there. But, some of you maybe don't even need a chair for that 8 to 10 hours. You might just be in your office a couple hours a day. So this is something to look at, again, in that lower price range. I'm going to go with a C.
I'm going to be in a similar spot as Robert. The place that I do think that it excels is the value. I think that you're getting good value for the price that you're paying. Like Robert said, like $150 or less for this chair. The problem is I have a tough time giving it that much of a boost for my comfort rating because the warranty is not very good. The build quality, like Robert said, is not very good. And so it's a chair that you're going to expect to last like 1 to 2 years. And then returns are standard, returns, and you're going to pay return shipping. So I can't really give it a boost from the policies. I could maybe give it a little boost because of the value. So I'd be right at a C+ on this one.
I mean, I think that this chair normally sells with its discounts for like $139 and sometimes even $129, which is honestly incredible that it can come from China, then come into the States and then ship back out on a carrier and get to you for $129. So from a value standpoint that you're even getting a chair that will work seems like pretty crazy to me. But yeah, the comfort on this thing is just definitely just, I'd say, middle of the road or maybe even a little bit less than middle of the road. With a 1-year warranty, though, I'd expect this to last probably about 1 year. I think most of the people that buy this and comment on our videos say they get about 1 or 2 years and then they're looking to replace it. I would say this is much better than a lot of other chairs, though, and for that reason, I'm just going to continue to give this thing a C because it just seems to outperform chairs that are somehow 2 and 3 times its price that are out there every single day.
The E3 Air from Hbada is actually the lowest end chair in the E3 series, but I think it's the best one of the 3. I think it provides the best value, and in my opinion, this is one of the best options if you're looking for an all-mesh chair for under $500. Right now, it's right around $350, and it's really good value for your price point. You got a ton of adjustments. You got the headrest. I like the armrest, and you do get some additional adjustments that you're not going to find on other chairs. The seat specifically is not a deal breaker for me, which usually is the case on mesh chairs. I think it's wide enough, and they have a nice waterfall so you don't feel those edges. So I'm going to be right at about a C on this one because I think it has good comfort. The policies are okay, but in terms of a mesh chair, under $300 or around $300, I would definitely recommend this one.
So this is one of those chairs after you kind of go over the Ticova that you bring out and you're like, man, this is almost 3 times as much money. Am I getting 3 times as much comfort, value, those sorts of things to get it really above that C tier overall? I do think it's a better built chair for sure. Like things like your headrest are certainly going to last longer. The chair is more substantial in a lot of different ways. I don't necessarily think like things like these wings that hug my love handles are necessary and probably could help cut the cost down somewhat. While I think it's a better chair than Ticova, certainly. Is it 3 times as much money worth? It's tough. You do have a restocking fee on this one, which is 15%, which, again, that's going to come at some additional cost if it doesn't work for you. It does have a 3-year warranty, which is 3 times the length of the Ticova, so I'm going to give it a C+.
I think part of it is the scarcity of mesh chairs, especially chairs that have a mesh seat. There's just none that are even sittable in this price range, and this one is sittable. For me, the biggest problem is probably that it doesn't have that recline tension, so I like to spend a lot of time in recline, but it's almost impossible here. You have to kind of lock it because otherwise it's like it's not a firm enough hold, so I just kind of fall straight back. So I'm actually going to go with a C- just because that really hurts the value for me, but it still sits in a solid C.
We've got the BTOD Ameap chair. This is an Amia frame with a Leap seat. This is the opposite of the BTOD Lamia chair, so if you're not familiar with that one, of course, that would be a Leap frame and an Amia seat. So this is going to be a really comfortable chair. If you like the Amia, which I do, and you like the Leap, which I also do, this is going to be an excellent option for a really reduced cost. So we're in sort of like the middle of 400s for this. And we actually made a change recently to add the new seat pads as a standard on this. So now all of your Ameap chairs are going to come with new seat pads. From a value standpoint, this thing knocks it out of the park. It's got a 12-year warranty, free returns. I mean, honestly, there really isn't too much wrong with this. The only thing I would say for me personally, I would rather have the Amia seat on this one, but again, you're going to save money going this route, so you can't go wrong. I give this one an easy A+.
I'm actually going to bump this even higher to S. So if you could tell me that I could have a Leap seat, an Amia backrest, those great armrests that are in both of those chairs, those are all A-tier parts for me. And then put this in that $400 range, this has to be an S because of that value.
I'm actually going to one-up Robert here, which is pretty crazy because he's already in S tier. But for the same reason as him focusing on value, again, we rarely get to focus on value in our lists. We're hyper-focused typically on comfort. I think it's an amazingly comfortable chair. Great seat, you're getting great adjustments, amazing build quality, 12-year warranty, everything included. This chair should sell new for around $1,200-$1,300 because it should sell more than what an Amia would sell for new because you're getting an upgraded seat and you're able to get it for $400. You will never find better value on the planet in the office chair market than this one, and so for me it's an S+.
So we come to our first gaming chair in this list. We've been kind of known at BTOD as saying gaming chairs suck, but the reason why we're even going to put this in the list is because the Fractal Refine gets away from some of the gaming chair problems. It has a little bit of a more open backrest, open seat where you're not feeling those bolsters like you're really confined, and it also has a nice recline, so that gives me a little boost in this chair. It still doesn't have some of the comfort that I like from a lot of these more ergonomic chairs. Because I feel the price at $600 is a little bit high, this is only going to be a C+ for me.
I actually like this quote gaming chair because they kind of started more with an ergonomic chair mindset instead of the racing style chair mindset. I do wish they would have went completely away from the racing chair mindset in the seat. You can see it's got some bolsters. I wish they would have just gotten rid of them. But I do like the fact that it's got a nice normal recline. It's got two-way adjustable lumbar support, and the arms are fantastic. Really adjustable, really stable, really comfortable. And I think they have a really unique way where they incorporated the headrest to be adjustable while keeping the high back design, and it is really, really soft. And Robert did mention it's a little bit high price for what you're getting, I guess, compared to an office chair. If you were to compare it to like a Secretlab, then I think it's a good value. But in terms of the overall office chair market, I'm going to be right at about a B- on this one.
The thing about the Fractal chair that's the Refine is just that it has so much potential. Like, this chair could be so good. And Ryan, I think you hit it spot on. It's still too gaming chair-ish with like the kind of almost half of a side bolster in the seat in the back. It's just still a little bit restricting. Yeah, the armrests are incredible. There's so many different adjustments, and for the people that don't like their chairs just having their arm pads move around, they have all the buttons and things to like lock them down, which is nice. And you do get a really good deep recline with a tall backrest, and the headrest is actually incredibly comfortable. For me, this is just sort of middle of the road again, unfortunately. It could be better, but I'm just going to go C.
We've got another S tier, Herman Miller Gaming Embody. I have put this thing in S tier for like 3 years now. For me, another chair that just checks all the boxes. Ridiculously adjustable. The movement that you get out of the backrest and the seat is really, really good. I love the range of movement and the flexibility. The build quality, second to none. It's Herman Miller. Great policies, good return policy. It's S tier all day for me.
It's an awesome chair for sure. I mean, the build on this thing is incredible. It looks super cool from a chair standpoint. As long as you're a chair nerd, I think you're going to think it's pretty dang cool. It's very comfortable in the seat with the pixelated seat system. I like the backrest a lot too. The only thing I personally don't like, which I'm on record stating, is that this always, for whatever reason, with my height at just about 6 foot, this curls my shoulders over just enough to make it uncomfortable for longer sitting periods. But like these arm pads, super soft. They are not maybe as adjustable like with the adjustment numbers that it has, but they're super big pads and they cover as much range as I need. And obviously Herman Miller's got great policies. The only thing I don't love is that they charge you now $99 to return their chairs. But I get it. A lot of people are buying multiple chairs and probably firing them all back at them. So I understand why they're doing it. But still, it's hard to beat. I'm going to go A+ on this.
I'm going to be with Ryan at that S tier. I love this big, wide seat. You can kind of move around in a little bit, and it has some flexibility. Again, that backrest, lots of flexibility. I'm able to kind of take away some of that shoulder roll by edging out the backrest. You can actually change the backrest tilt independent from the recline. That kind of helps fix that issue for me. And again, like Greg said, it's a great looking chair if that matters to you. So I'm going to be at that S tier.
We've got the IKEA Markus chair, and this is going to trigger probably everybody that loves IKEA. My apologies before I go ahead and give this a terrible tier. And the reason why I give it a terrible tier is because it's super uncomfortable, and honestly, like, it just doesn't fit me. So if it fits you, that's great. You do get some decent policies because you have a 10-year warranty and you can return it for up to 365 days back to your local IKEA. So I give it a bump, guys. I gave it an F tier for comfort. I'm going to go ahead and give it a D- overall.
I'm actually lowering this chair down to an F. The reason is, for us, we're far away from an IKEA, so we would have to get it a delivery price of $130. That makes this a $450 chair. So comfort on this is so poor that for me to pay $450, this has to be an F tier.
Yeah, it's really hard to justify anything with IKEA because going into the store is nightmare fuel, especially if you're just going in there for one thing. So if you're going there to get this Markus chair, and like Robert said, if you want to get it delivered to your house, you're paying a fortune, probably more than what the chair is already worth. So you have to go to the store to make it somewhat worthwhile because then you can get it for like $150, $200 or something. I will say that their policies are amazing. Being able to return it for a full year is incredible, and a 10-year warranty on a chair like this is off the charts. comforts. It's not very comfortable though, in my opinion. The seat is okay, but it bottoms out right away. The armrests are brutal and the lumbar is brutal. I do like the recline. I would probably be at an F tier on this chair just from overall shopping experience, but I'm going to bump it to a D- because they have literally the best policies on the planet for any chair that's not from one of the big three.
We're coming back to Haworth with their Soji chair. This has a really nice mesh backrest. It's not one of their high-end chairs like the Zody or the Fern, but this is still a really nice, comfortable chair if you're in more of that mid-range price level. For me, this is kind of like that epitome of a B-tier chair, and it kind of has that mid-tier price, so it's going to sit in a B.
I've always been a huge fan of the Soji just because I feel like it's one of those chairs where you can kind of recommend it to anyone and feel good about recommending the chair. There's not a lot of downsides on it that are going to be deal breakers for people. It fits a really wide range of people. Is it the most comfortable chair on the planet? No. I do think that it's more comfortable and better than the better chair in their lineup though, which is the Very. And so just from a pure value standpoint, I have a really hard time keeping this out of the A tier simply because you can pick this thing up for like $550. And for me, there's not going to be a better chair until you get upwards of $800-900. And so from a comfort standpoint, I'm usually at like a B plus on this chair. You're getting amazing policies from Haworth. It's really well built. And so just value alone, what you're paying for the chair and bang for your buck, I'm at an A-.
I'm pretty much in the same boat. I give it like a B tier all day for comfort. I think the seat's a bit firm for some people, but I like a firm seat. Arm pads kind of are the same way, backrest is kind of the same way, but well built overall. It's got all of Haworth's policies, and they're not charging you $100 like Herman Miller is now. Still give you the full 30-day returns. I think you're spot on. I'm going to go A from where I was at before, which was going to be a B+. Steelcase Amia chair, the actual Amia. Guys, this is a great value, honestly, from a top tier brand. This has always been an excellent value, sitting right around that $1,000 mark. Once upon a time, it was sub 1,000 in 2025. We are over it now, unfortunately. But you get the four-way arms, which are incredible. It's the same arm set as on the Leap chair. You do get your height adjustable lumbar, which I think, again, even for people like me who like a lot of lower lumbar, it's great. You get some flex in the backrest, although not as much quite as the Leap. And again, it's gonna fit me well. So if you're up to maybe 6'2", it might just get to be a little bit too short in the backrest, but otherwise, super comfortable chair. I love their policies, and we refurbish them for that reason because people are loving them. I'm gonna go S tier as always, so I'm sticking with that.
Yeah, really the only like knock that I can really see is it's not the most beautiful chair. It's a little bit average looking, so when you're paying $1,000 plus, it's kind of nice if it has those more looks that can show that it is a more premium chair. But aside from that, really the comfort is amazing. Definitely A tier all around. I do like the Leap backrest a little better, so that's why I'm going to reserve that S tier. I'm going to hold it back to a high A.
Yeah, I'm going to be right there with these guys. I think it's an amazing chair. And number one reason is that you're getting more than what you're paying for. Again, this is a $1,000 chair, which is high. I get that. That's a lot of money for a chair. But the other chairs that are $1,000, aside from the Haworth Zody, do not stack up to this chair even close. It's just so well built. The policies are so good, and it's so comfortable. The seat, the arms, and the backrest are all A-level comfort. I can't quite push it up into that S tier because you're not getting the same type of value as you are out of the Ameap, and not quite the same build or comfort out of just a standard Leap brand new, but I'm going to be at a high A on this one as well.
We've got the X Chair X3, not to be confused with the X Chair X2. This is going to have the padded seat, which does give it a boost for sure for comfort. It actually makes it somewhat bearable. It's almost like a knockoff of the Ergohuman chair, but it's not a good one. It's a lot firmer on the arm pads. They just kind of feel a little bit wonky to me. It does have a nice headrest. You do get the lower lumbar support, but I'd like to see better arm pads for sure, and the seat does sit just a touch too firm. From their policy standpoint, it's $149 to return their chair. They just have a return kit that you have to pay for, which is certainly not cheap. And they have a 15-year warranty on like their frame and then 5-year on all their upholstery. I'm actually going to go down from the comfort score, and I'm going to go to C+ from a B- where I put the comfort.
Yeah, I'm right there with Greg. Part of the reason is some of the things he mentioned about how it compares to the Ergohuman, or even we just talked about the Amia in that similar price range. I just would way rather prefer some of these other chairs when we're looking at a $900 chair. All things considered, I'm going to put it in C.
I actually think it's a pretty comfortable chair. The arms aren't fantastic, but I don't think they're uncomfortable. I do like the backrest quite a bit. I like the lumbar support. The seat's comfortable for me, and I like the material that they use. It's got like a little bit of a cushion to it, so it's a little bit softer than what you'd expect. I'm not going to knock it down for its policies. I'm going to kind of hold it where it is, mainly because it does have a couple features that people would buy this chair for specifically, which would be the massager and then the cooling and heating feature. If you're someone that runs hot or runs cool, the heating and cooling features are really, really nice on this chair, and I do think think it kind of bumps it up a little bit. So the amount that I would bump it down for the return policy, I'm just going to bump it back up for the cooling feature, and I'm going to be right at a B.
Next up, the Neutral Posture 8000. This chair has those really thick pads. For me personally, I prefer the thinner pads that are easier to move around in, have the flexibility, but at the same time, you can't deny how good it feels to sit down in that kind of cush. Our salespeople here have just been raving about this chair for, years, and basically that chair just sits in their department all the time. I'm going to put this at a B. It does have a good warranty, so that helps keep it up in that higher level.
I think it's a very well-made chair. It feels very, very solid. You're buying from a reputable company that's been in the industry for years, so you're getting a good warranty. And I think the headrest is one of the only headrests I've ever seen that can compete or probably beat that Gesture headrest. Armrests are incredibly adjustable, more adjustable than even maybe the Gesture, and the arm pads are really, really soft. The one thing that I don't like about the chair is just the recline is just a standard center tilt recline. And so it just puts you in a weird spot where your knees are coming up when you recline, and I don't love that. And so I'm just going to keep it right where it is at a B tier.
It has an S-tier headrest all day. It has S-tier arm pads all day. They're super adjustable. They spin 360 degrees. They're incredibly soft. Like Ryan said, the recline's a little bit weird just because you actually have the lever here for an independent back angle, which is not something that you see on a lot of chairs, which for some actually could be a good thing, I think. But when you get back in this kickback position like this, I can definitely see why the guys in the sales team, they definitely love this one. Just like the last chair where it was the X chair, we actually knocked it a little bit. It's a 25% restocking fee, and then you have a warranty that's got a much shortened upholstery coverage. So it's like 12 years and then 3 years. I don't knock it as much for that as I do the return restocking fee, and that's pretty much standard everywhere you're going to get this chair. So I give it a B-.
The Zody's been Haworth's flagship chair for a ton of years now, and we've got the updated version here, and I really like this chair, especially for the price, very much so like the Amia, right around that $1,000 mark. And for me, you're not going to find a better chair at that price point than the Zody. Really, really adjustable. I think it's very comfortable. It's going to fit a wide range of people. I also like the dual posture mode, so you can use it with a standing desk to kind of get out of the chair so you're not seated in the same exact position the whole time. Great policies from Haworth, so I'm going to be right at an A with this chair overall.
They don't call it Zody 2 because it's confusing. They just call it Zody. But there's the Zody Classic, which is the original. This is a more comfortable option because they got rid of that weird sort of like not in the middle neutral sitting position. They used to have it like forward or back. This is much more neutral. All around the chair is super well built. And like Ryan said, for the price, it's an excellent value for sure. I think their policies, again, like on their upholstery, not great, 3 and 5 years, depending on which one you pick. But it is 12 years on the rest of the frame and the components. It has the free returns too, but it's a super comfortable chair. You get that nice lumbar support, which I like. The mesh is like a little bit thicker in the mesh with this knitted mesh. It's a digital knit here. And this one we have spec'd out is definitely over $1,000. So don't expect to get this chair for $1,000, but you're gonna get the same feel overall. It's an easy A for me.
Yeah, I almost see the Zody as like two different chairs. You can get the more base model that is that around $1,000. It's going to be really comfortable with that mesh backrest. The seat is great. I like this version. This is about maybe $1,400, a little over that, with that dual posture. It has the nicer mesh on it. Honestly, both of those chairs I'd put as a high A, whether you want to keep it a little lower price option or really deck it out like this. So
we've got the Herman Miller Sayl chair. This is one of Herman Miller's sort of, I don't know if it's quite a flagship chair, but it's definitely a well-known chair. Unfortunately, this is one that just doesn't fit me at all. The backrest is just too short for me. So if you are around my height, around 6 foot, you're gonna have the back jabbing into your shoulder blades, which isn't a great vibe for sure. Overall, I've never been overly impressed with the chair. And honestly, it doesn't really even feel like a Herman Miller quality chair. Herman Miller chairs, just especially like the Embody earlier, just feel real solid. This one feels more like a mid-market chair than it does a premium Herman Miller chair. So I'm going C. It is middle of the road.
when it comes to the Sayl, I'm always trying to like guess, well, if I fit in this, what would I rank it? But I have to just judge it based on what I personally feel in the chair, and I just don't fit in it. Just that backrest is really too short, the seat's small, and I don't really like the armrest. And also, this is a $1,000 chair that kind of is lacking a lot of the stuff that you see usually in that price range. So it's gonna be a low C for me.
I have kind of a different opinion than these guys just because I'm a bit shorter than them. I'm 5'9", and so I can use the chair and fit in it comfortably. The problem that I have is that it's a $1,000 chair, and when you compare it to the Amia and the Zody, the two chairs from the biggest competitors for Herman Miller, it's the same price, and I think it's a considerable downgrade. It's definitely a well-made chair. It's comfortable. You get great policies from Herman Miller. I just think that you're overpaying for the chair. To me, it's more comparable to like a Soji. So if it was $600-700, then I'd be behind this chair. I could recommend it all day. I'm usually at at about a B for comfort, but this is going to be a chair, oddly enough, from Herman Miller that I have to lower the score when we factor in everything because I think it loses points just purely on value. And so I'm going to be at a C+ on this one.
So the BTOD Akir chair, this one is going to have that leather seat. This is definitely my favorite version of the chair. We don't necessarily call it a big and tall chair, but it works for big and tall because it has a really wide seat, has a big backrest. You can definitely move around in it. You're not going to hit the frame. What I really like is that cushioned seat. When you're sitting in the fabric seat, I always feel like I sink a little too far down and it gets kind of warm. The leather, I feel like I'm getting that pushback a little bit like Greg had talked about earlier in the video. So that leather seat does bring that price just under $800. So because of that value, I'm going to put this at a B tier.
I like the leather seat on the Akir. I think it's a good upgrade to the fabric version. It kind of prevents it from bottoming out like you experience on the fabric version after about 4 or 5 hours. So for me, it's going to be one of the more comfortable seats that you're going to get for around this price range. I think the armrests are pretty good, a little bit too wide for me. I think the backrest is comfortable, and I really like the headrest. I do think it has good policies. You got free returns, and it's got a pretty good warranty. My problem is that this is one of those chairs where unfortunately it's really gone up in price over the past couple of years, and we're right around $800. So it's hard for me to give it a boost in terms of value because I do think that it's a little bit higher priced. So I'm going to be right at a B- on this one.
I mean, this chair is absolutely huge if you want it to be, for sure. I'm 6 foot, I'm 180 pounds, and you can tell, like, my feet don't really even touch the ground when I've got this fully dialed in. That's why we recommend this for taller people. I mean, not necessarily significantly wider, but definitely for taller users, this is going to be a good option. I think that the seat pad on the leather one is way more comfortable for longer term sitting. You do get the lumbar support too, which is okay. It doesn't really push through the back like maybe you'd want it to, but you do get your headrest. Easy B tier on this one for me. We've got Branch's newest chair, the Ergonomic Chair Pro. This is supposed to be their best from their offering. Unfortunately for me, I just haven't really been that impressed with the chair overall. Personally, I think they've got this big, what looks to be a thick seat pad, but it's kind of in all the wrong places. It's in the front, in the back of the seat pad. I actually bottom out. The arm pads are very firm, and just this headrest kind of hits me awkwardly in my shoulder blades when I'm trying to get it dialed in comfortably. Overall though, build quality, again, just kind of middle of the road. They charge you $40 for returns. They've got a decent warranty, so I'm just gonna stick with C tier, just kind of average.
Branch definitely made some improvements on this one compared to the original ergonomic chair. The mesh on the backrest isn't so loose, so you're not just like falling through it and hitting that hard frame. So I do like how they've made it better. The seat is also a little better with a little extra padding. I know that sounds great. I'm still not even going higher than a C for comfort, though. It still has other problems. And the mesh headrest maybe gives it a little boost, but based on all the policies, I'm still going to go with a C for this one.
I wish that it was a little bit less expensive because then I could see giving it a bump for the value. The problem is that it just doesn't feel like you're getting what you're spending for $500. Even though there's not a ton of good options in this price range, when you spend $500, you don't really want to have problems like uncomfortable arms or bottom mount in a seat or return policy where you're going to have to pay 10% of the cost of the chair. And so there's a lot of things that make me go, I don't know about the value on this chair. I think I'm just going to stick with what my comfort rating is, which is a C, just because everything else is just kind of middle of the road, but I just feel like there's better options out there for the price. So kind of opposite of the chair we just talked about, the Branch Ergonomic Chair Pro. That one's in a price range where there's not a ton of options, and I just have a really hard time justifying the price that you're paying for that chair. The Vera is going to be the exact opposite. It's the same price, and I think you're just getting a far better chair. For me, this is an A tier comfort chair. Not so much in the arms. I think the arms could be a little bit improved. They're not quite soft enough for me, and they don't go quite low enough, but the seat is S tier for me, and the backrest is S tier for me, and so it is a very comfortable chair for the price that you're paying. Is it the most well-built chair? No, but it does feel like a $400 or $500 chair. You get a good return policy, you get a good warranty, so I'm going to be at an A tier.
So the Eurotech Vera is a chair that we've had on BTOD's website for a long time. This is one that Eurotech has had for sale for an even longer time. Great value, I think personally. It's right around that $500 price point. Arm pads, like Ryan said, are a bit firm. I wish they were just slightly more adjustable overall, but the seat pad is absolutely incredible. It's super soft just throughout the entire seat. And then this backrest still feels like this hammock feel. I can't explain it, but it is really great support without having any additional extra lumbar in there. And it just kind of like cradles you as you're sitting in it. They've got excellent policies from a warranty standpoint. We take care of the returns, and so we've got free returns here. If you get it from us, it's easy A tier for sure with all of those policies and the comfort included.
This is one of my favorite mesh backrests of any chair we've tested. It has just that right amount of sink into it, and it does just such a good job of giving you lumbar support without having some additional plastic piece like you see in so many chairs. So one negative, it does have a little bit of a tendency to pull on soft fabric, so you get a little bit of pills. It is removable. We're all in A's here, especially because of that value, so this is going to be A tier.
We got the Staples Dexley. This is supposed to be potentially a better alternative to the Hyken, which is arguably one of the worst chairs, in my opinion, ever built. Now, this one is, I think, bigger overall, so you're going to have a better chance to fit in this one. But unfortunately, much like the Hyken, it is extremely uncomfortable. So the seat is uncomfortable. I feel the frame, it's got the issues with the front part here, cutting off the circulation to your legs. The arm pads, they are what they are. The headrest, probably maybe one of the best features on the chair, but I can't really boost it because of that. Now, I will boost it for one reason. You can get it at Staples, and then you can go ahead and return it back at Staples. And that's a great thing because you have 30 days to do it. It has a 5-year warranty. The chair was listed for $139 when I looked today. It was on sale. I think it's always at that price. You know, for that 5-year warranty, the fact that you could take it back if you didn't like it, I'm going to bump it, D-.
Yeah, I'm also seeing $129 right now.
Wow.
For $130, that's why it's almost hard to go F tier. I'm going to go D as well. It's definitely not as nice as that Ticova chair we talked about earlier. That's about the same price range, but definitely has problems. For me, the arms were a little bit too wide. The lumbar support is really strong, too strong, but yet at the same time, I was okay to sit in it for an hour. So can't be quite F tier. Going to go D.
The Hyken is definitely the worst chair that I've ever sat in. Greg is 100% right. You're better off going with just a $60 chair from Target that has zero adjustments, just leather pads, than the Hyken. And so the Hyken, even though it's only $130, is horrible, horrible value. Is the Dexley better? Maybe 5% better than the Hyken. Is it cheap? Yeah, $120, but is it worth $120? In my opinion, no. The policies are decent for the price, I guess, but this is an F tier chair.
We have another Ergohuman. This version is the Xtreme version. It's actually a lower price version of that Ergohuman Gen 2 we had out there before. This is going to be an all mesh chair, mesh seat and backrest, and then of course that mesh headrest. So it's not quite as comfortable as that Ergohuman that has the padded seat and the mesh backrest, but it's really close for me. And it has those really nice padded arms that are, again, just kind of behind that Aeron level of padding. I'm going to go with an A here. And this is because not only is that comfort really high, but you can get this chair just under $700. So it's cheaper than that Ergohuman and still really high comfort.
This is one of those chairs where I kind of heavily got to lean into the value on this one. Like Robert touched on the end there, you can get this for like $600-700, which is pretty crazy. I mean, it's called Ergohuman Xtreme, which would make you think it's the highest one in the lineup, but it's actually not. But in my opinion, it's actually more comfortable than the Gen 2. I really like the seat, even though it's an all-mesh seat. I think the armrests are great, and I think the backrest is awesome. It's a well-built chair. You're getting all the policies from Eurotech. They have a great track record in the industry. And so for $600-700, just pure value, what you're getting, I'm at an A+ with this thing.
Yeah, the Ergohuman Xtreme is extremely weird to say because it's not the actual like full-blown Ergohuman. It's lesser of an Ergohuman. That's why it's less money. So I don't know if we could say it's extreme, but it is really comfortable. I think that this chair does a lot of things really well, much like the Ergohuman, and you're saving a bunch of money. The armrests are just something that really stand out to me for sure. You got your forward seat tilt if you're a crazy freak like that and you like to do that type of stuff. And you've got all your other adjustments. It's a similar concept on their Gen 2 with their seat, so it has become much more comfortable again. But for the value you're going to get from the chair, and we've got 60-day returns on it here at BTOD and their great warranty, I'm going to go B+ on this one.
I think the HON Ignition is just our symbol at BTOD for a C-tier chair. I've just always ranked this thing as C-tier. I just think it's a really good middle-of-the-road chair. It doesn't have any features that are going to wow you. It doesn't have any features that I would consider to be deal breakers for most people. It's right at that kind of $400 price point, so you're not overpaying, you're not underpaying. Decent warranty through HON, decent return policy depending on where you get it. So I'm just going to stick with what's been the norm for me on this chair, which is C-tier.
So the HON Ignition 2.0 is definitely a middle-of-the-road chair for sure. Again, it's from HON. That's kind of the name of their business, is middle of the road. That's pretty much what they do. They're a mid-market brand, and they put out products that are like this. It's not going to wow you. It's going to hold up probably for a long time. It's got a lifetime warranty on the frame and the rest of the parts. Your foam fabric upholstery is like 12 years, so it's got a pretty ridiculous warranty on it. Value-wise, it's mid to high $400, but it's just I'm sitting in a chair. So if that's what you're looking for, you don't really want to notice it. You don't want to be wowed from it. probably give it a pretty decent C tier here. I'm going to actually bump it maybe C plus just because they've got those nicer warranty. It's a pretty ridiculous warranty, so.
Yeah, I think one of the good things you can say about it too is it doesn't have like really any obvious problems. So it's not like you're going to sit in it and notice something that's really uncomfortable. So again, if you're maybe buying this for a bigger office where a lot of people are getting them, or maybe it's a chair that multiple people are going to be sitting in, it's probably going to fit a pretty wide range, and most people are going to be like, oh, this chair's fine. So it's also kind of just average looks. But when you're spending $450 in that range, you're probably going to want more than just average, or you're going to want something that stands out that you really like. So that's why this is going to drop in C tier.
We've got the OM Truly chair. This is one of those chairs that's a little bit under the radar. We've talked about it quite a bit in the past. I'm actually really impressed with this one from what you're going to get standpoint for the price point, right? I really like the backrest. It's got like a poly back that's got this more intuitive lumbar support. So when you turn this knob, it's actually going to kind of squeeze the backrest down and push the lumbar out. It's got the nice big same arm pads that the Yes has. Those are all kind of interchangeable. And when you add this jacket on the backrest, it's going to get a little bit of softness to that poly back. So if you don't necessarily like the kind of feel that a poly back, which is like a plastic, has, you can soften it up a little bit. The only downside, you can't do the headrest with the jacket, so that would maybe be a drawback for some people. The seat pad is nice and soft. It's good size. Overall, the chair is going to fit you if you're about average size. This is an easy B tier. It's not plus or minus. It's just right in the middle on the B tier.
I know some people look at that poly back and they think, oh, that's going to be really uncomfortable. It's hard plastic, whatever. Once you actually sit into it, it doesn't feel hard. It does have the flexibility, and it kind of feels cooler. It doesn't have the warmth that sometimes sinking into a upholstered backrest can have. And it does have a really nice headrest. So this is similar to the Yes chair where it has a ton of adjustments. For that price range, I'm going to give this a B.
The Truly for me is one of those hidden gems that we find that it's not talked about a ton on the market, but this really does provide a good value at a really difficult price point to shop. And you're going to get an incredible amount of adjustments. Two-way adjustable backrest, it's height adjustable, depth adjustable, lumbar adjustable, the seat depth adjustment, height adjustment, the arms are crazy adjustable. You can add the headrest, the jacket, so you can customize the chair quite a bit. Great warranty, great return policy. And so just from a pure value standpoint, I'm going to bump this from my BP plus rating. I'm typically at for comfort. I'm going to put this as an A minus.
The Sihoo Doro S300 has some really unique features. So they have these lower pivoting lumbar backrest features. So they really move as you pivot around in the chair. As you move your body, they move with you. Personally, I found that something about them always made me feel a little tense in my core, like I could never quite relax back in it. And also that upper backrest, it's made to be height adjustable, so you can kind of use that top portion as a headrest. I'm going to probably go D plus because this chair is almost $800.
I do appreciate Sihoo's effort to try to add things that are different, change up the market a little bit with the lumbar support and the spring system. Problem is that it just doesn't really do anything, and it adds problems that you didn't expect to happen. So for instance, I simply cannot use the armrest on this chair because right where I put my elbows is where the incline is on the back. So even if I'm just using them normally, it's uncomfortable. And if you put any pressure on the back of the arms, they flip up immediately. And the other thing that I really do question is just the overall build quality on the chair. You are not going to find too many $700-800 chairs with a 6-component base where you have to assemble the base together all in one. You will not find that on something from Soji or OM, these more mid-market to higher end brands that are in the same price range. So while I was at a C minus for comfort, I'm going down to a D just because I don't think that the value's there on the chair.
Yeah, sitting in this chair, you really notice some of those awkward things again about the fact that these arms are picking up and tipping all the time, which I honestly don't even know what the value is, because you normally would want to have these back so that when you recline in this chair, which is super comfortable, you'd want to have like good support on your elbows and like your forearms, but it hits in all the wrong places. And the fact that you're spending $700-800 on a chair with only a 3-year warranty too is a bit concerning for me. I would expect more. I'm pretty much right on par with these guys. I'm going to drop it down to a D for overall when you think about all of it together.
All right, we got potentially the most iconic chair in the world here. We got the Aeron. This is an incredible chair. I don't love mesh seats. I'm known kind of as a mesh seat hater, and this isn't one of my favorite mesh seats, and it's the biggest reason why I just can't sit in this chair all day long. So that would be my one knock on the chair, but everything else on the chair is absolutely ridiculous. These chairs last forever. If there's a chair out there that might last longer than a Leap, it's the Aeron. You get really good policies. Aside from their new return policy with the added fee, I don't love that, but it's Herman Miller. You're getting one of the most well-made chairs on the planet. The recline, the arm comfort, the back comfort. I really love the Posture Fit SL lumbar support. I really can't complain about anything on the chair other than the fact that I don't absolutely love the seat. So I'm going to be at an A tier on this one.
The seat pad on it, that is my only drawback really for me personally, just because I still just don't love the seat pad longer term. I can't sit in it for longer than like 4 or 5 hours, and if I do it for a week long, I will feel it, and it's just I have to get back out of the chair. It's a bit restricting with the side bolsters too, so that's why I have this thing around a B-, which is a huge upgrade from the F tier that I give the Classic. So that's a big swing in the right direction. But their build quality, the fact that you see these chairs out there 30 years old, I mean, I have to give it one of the biggest boosts that you can just when you go overall in this chair. So I'm going to go A-.
Yeah, even though the price is high, the value is definitely there. Like Greg said, you're just going to be able to know that you can have this chair for years. What I love about it is it has so many things that are the top in any chair that is out there. So the arm pads, they're the best of any chair we have in the room here. The lumbar support, I'd put that definitely close to the top. I also would put the mesh. It has the best quality mesh of any chair. And finally, the recline, easily to me is the best. I'm still not going to quite go S tier, even though I think I have put this as S in the past, only because of those bolsters on the side. I found that I do really like to sit in other positions, and the Aeron doesn't let you do that. So I'll go S-.
We got the Sihoo M18. This thing is like sitting on concrete. The arm pads are like putting your elbows on concrete, and this thing comes with free returns, and the best part about that is you're going to absolutely want to take full advantage of it, because this is F tier for everything. Personally, I can't see a single reason why I'd ever recommend this to anybody I like or dislike, and so I'm going hard F tier.
So we've brought in the kitchen chair many times. Now this is an example where the hardwood kitchen chair would be more comfortable than the Sihoo M18, although maybe the price of my kitchen chair would be even higher than the M18. But regardless, this is a F tier chair, and we wouldn't recommend anyone buy it.
Yeah, I'm right there with these guys. There's no reason just to rehash everything, but there's just not a lot of redeeming characteristics about the chair. I just don't find anything on it comfortable except for maybe the headrest that you just saw Greg yank completely out of the back there. So build quality, warranty, it's an easy F tier for me. F tier all day from all of us.
The Humanscale Freedom chair is one that I've actually spent years sitting in, and mostly that's because I like the recline. Even though it might not look comfortable, it kind of looks like it's pulling your neck and head forward, but I actually like how this puts me in this position to be able to type and still be in that back recline position. It does have good build quality, but at the same time, it does have a lot of noise. I know we get some complaints about that. Like I always felt a little awkward in the office with how much my chair would creak as I would move around, and I do like how it has these adjustments that are kind of hidden. So it does have them, just you can't always see all the knobs. So Humanscale does a great job with the design in that way. So I'm going to go with a B.
It's a very, very well-built chair. Well-designed, component quality feels high-end. It's soft, it's comfortable, it moves well, 15-year warranty, free returns, the full shebang. My problem is that the way that I like to use my chair, I cannot use this chair. So for starters, the armrests have to adjust in tandem. I don't use my chair with my arms at the same height. I keep my arms at different heights so that I can mouse and have my arms supported. I physically cannot do that with this chair. I am the opposite of Robert, where I cannot use the recline. It really just makes my neck and back sore if I use it for extended periods of time. So when I use the chair, I would prefer to use it without a headrest and just kind of stay a little bit more upright, which really there's no reason to get the chair then, because the whole point of the chair is for people like Robert that love that style. So overall, I'm going to be at about a B+ for the chair.
I tried to sit in this chair for a long time. I can't go full recline because it crinks my neck too much. I know that's the intention, but I'm more of like a midway through the recline. It fits me. The armrests are interesting how they move in tandem. They always felt a little bit short to me. Definitely the gel one that we have here, I'm not a big fan of. I'd prefer the normal padded one. I know a lot of people think that the gel will make it softer, but it's actually the opposite. So Humanscale does have free returns, so we'll bump it for that. They've got their 15-year warranty. So as long as you go that direction and grab it there, I'll give it a little boost. I'll give it up to a B tier because the build is definitely good on these.
So the Secretlab Titan is the most well-known gaming chair on the market. The problem is I just hate gaming chairs that are designed like this. The racing style gaming chair I think is one of the most detrimental designs in the history of seating. All of the companies call them ergonomic. They're not. They're firm, they're stiff, they do not promote movement in the chair. I cannot stand the bolsters. It's just an overall not a comfortable experience. If we look at the build quality, it's a well-built chair in the space. But when I compare the build quality of this chair to other well-built chairs for the same price, $600, $700, I don't think that it compares. I think that a Soji destroys this chair for the same price. I think the Fractal Refine is a way better chair for this price, even though it is well built in its space, and I would like to give it a bump because it's a well-built chair. I can't, and one of the reasons is because I don't like the policies. Them forcing you to share their item and promote it on social media to get the full warranty. I will never give them full credit for the warranty, and so with all that said, I'm at a D-.
I think it's just way too stiff overall. The seat is like sitting on an absolute brick. It's so crazy how firm the seat is, and they don't recognize that they have this incredibly soft, headrest that's great. I don't understand how we can't have the best of both worlds, but we don't. So overall for this one, like Ryan said, their policies are weird. 3 years if you don't share, and 5 years if you do for your warranty. I feel like some other incentive other than your warranty should be something that you should get for that, to force us to share it online. So I'm just going to go D tier across the board. It didn't go up, didn't go down, it just stayed.
The only real reason I could see buying this is if you really want that gaming chair look, and this will give you that look. It's going to have that styling that looks like you're in that racing chair. But personally, I would rather go with that Fractal Refine. It's going to be more comfortable, but still give you a little bit of that gaming chair look. For me, this is going to have to be a D tier, so we're going to be D all across.
Nightwatch Commander, this is going to be our chair. This is a chair that we released this year. We actually have two different versions. This is the fabric upholstered version. There's also a leather. This is overall a big chair for sure. So if you're like 5'10", 5'9", you're definitely going to need a footrest if you want to use this one. I'm just tall enough to make this work for me, but it does have that knee tilt. I would say for me personally, because I'm the one who designed the chair, I actually love this chair. There's just a couple things that I wish were a little bit better on it. Number one would be to get the arms just a little bit narrower on the chair overall, and then to have just a little bit softer seat for some people. Giving this one an A+ for the overall score, just because we've got a 12-year warranty, free shipping, and free returns for 60 days, and they actually bring it in your house to kind of get you set up because it's heavy. So.
Yeah, this chair is definitely built like a tank, but yet it doesn't necessarily feel like it's just some industrial chair. It does have really good comfort. It has a nice adjustable headrest. You can really pivot it in all different directions. I like that fabric version. It's my favorite. Has a little bit extra cushion in the seat there. And you also do save a little bit of money with that fabric version. So I'm going to go a solid A here.
Like Greg said, it was specifically designed for mainly taller individuals that are having a tough time finding a chair that's just tall and not necessarily wide. And then we also have a version that's also big and tall. So I don't necessarily fit in the chair. Like Greg said, someone like me, I'm going to have to use a footrest. The armrests aren't going to be quite as narrow enough for me. But for the people that it's built for, this thing is incredibly comfortable. The seat pad, the back pad are really comfortable. You got nice soft armrests. The headrest is super unique. The one thing that I would personally change if I was going to redesign it would just be to maybe have a different style mechanism, but you can't really do that and have such a bulky, well-built chair that's going to hold like 500 pounds plus. So 100% all day long, it's an A tier chair. I just don't necessarily fit in it, so I'm gonna go with an A-. So a little bit lower just because I can't use it, but I really shouldn't be ranking it in the first place, to be honest. So.
The Libernovo Omni chair, I bet a lot of you have been waiting for this one. Now, if I have to look at this entire list of chairs we talk about and think, okay, which one do I want to spend all my time sitting in? Libernovo is going to be on the top of that list. And the fact that it's less than $1,000 makes this what I have to consider an S tier chair. We don't know a lot about the brand. It's definitely new. They do give a 5-year warranty, but when you don't necessarily know how reputable the brand is, what does that warranty really mean? And we still are just looking at a kind of a pre-production model. I'm going to be optimistic and give them the benefit of the doubt that they're a reputable company and that the couple problems are going to be fixed, and I'm going to stick with that S tier.
Launched on Kickstarter, they've been crazy successful with their launch, and I really am impressed with the comfort of the chair. I mean, it's probably the softest chair that we have in the office that isn't just a poof ball that you sink into and provides no support. I really like the armrests aside from the adjustment on the height range. They don't go low enough for me to use them the way that I do at my desk, so I kind of have to make them work. You've got kind of like that Embody backrest design where you have a ton of room to move your arms around. You can see the recline range is absolutely insane. I'm right there with Robert though, where I do question how valuable that warranty is. This is kind of a recently launched product from a company that we don't know a ton about. So for that reason, I'm going to go with a B+ overall, but I do think it is a very good chair.
First initial sit test on this chair is just like cush ball all day, right? A little bit concerning, but they do have 3 different densities of foam as you kind of like work your way back in the seat, which was also super unique. But for me personally, I'm just a little bit worried. Number one, that the seat is as soft as it is right now. I don't know what that means longer term. It sits a little bit too soft for me personally, and it feels warm because of that. The headrest has like all kinds of adjustments too. Like you're going depth adjustment, it's got the height adjustment, it's pivoting back and forth. You've got all these like things on the backrest. I mean, just my concern overall for how this thing holds up, I got to hold it back overall. So I'm going to give it a B+, which I think is pretty fair.
Rounding out the list, we have the BTOD Lamia. So this is the opposite of the Ameap that we talked about earlier. This is going to be your Leap frame and backrest with your Amia seat. Now, for me personally, this is going to be a downgrade to the Leap, just because I do think that the Leap seat is more comfortable than the Amia. So for me, I had the Leap in S tier, and then I actually put the Ameap in S tier as well because it had the Leap seat. I'm going to do the same thing for the Lamia. I get that it has a seat that I don't like quite as much, but the discount that you're getting on this chair, because it's only sold as refurbished. You can't buy this from Steelcase. To buy it from Steelcase, you'd have to buy a Leap and an Amia and take seats and swap them, and you'd be spending $2,000 or more. This chair costs, less than $1,000 by a big margin, and you're going to get what I would consider to be one of the most comfortable chairs on the planet with a ridiculous warranty, free returns, the whole shebang. So the price that you're paying, the value that you're getting out of the chair, it can be nowhere other than S tier for me.
Yeah, I mean, I'm the one who created the chair. This is my favorite chair still of all time. I love the Amia seat just because of the design. It's just a little bit different in how they designed the actual pad compared to the Leap seat. So it's a personal preference for sure. But I do love the Leap frame. It's just so widely adjustable. You got the awesome lower lumbar support. And again, the flexibility in the backrest paired with those arms is incredible. This chair for me, I think everybody knows where I end up with this. The only drawback to putting the Amia seat on this frame is that you can't quite get all the seat depth on there. So if you need to tuck it in real tight, and if you're a little bit shorter, that might be one drawback. But for me, it's perfect, fits me perfect. And so I'm going to continue to go and say this is God tier. This thing is absolutely perfect comfort-wise. And then because we've extended the actual return policy out to 60 days, it's longer than all the major manufacturers. You're getting free returns and a 12-year warranty that matches Steelcase. So I don't see how you can go wrong.
Yeah, for me, when you break down all the parts of this is just such a highly rated in every area. I love the seat. I do prefer the Amia seat over the Leap seat. It still has that flexibility, but gives a little extra cush, especially in the back of the seat there. I really love the backrest of the Leap. This is all A-tier parts. Also, those armrests are amazing. So put that all together, it is a comfort. And then you give this the price of having it under $1,000 for A or even S-tier comfort. This has to be S-tier overall for me. So what do you think about our picks? We'd love to see it in the comments. Ryan will have some fun arguing with you.